Hey guys, Clint here. I want you to hear the dumbest thing the RCMP Commissioner has ever said. Watch.
Dealing with it. We've had a number of traumas. We've had a number of suicides. People don't like to talk about it, but the effect on front line. So what do you have to ensure the mental health of the workers who are on these front lines in what is, we have some of the highest suicide rates in the world, would be under the communities that you represent?
When we speak about the mental health and well-being of our members, we can't do enough. Absolutely. We're doing the first of its kind in the world, a longitudinal PTSD study out of the training academy, where we follow the cadets for 5 years to see what triggers PTSD so we can be better at prevention.
Can't do enough. They can't do enough. They can't do enough. But they haven't done anything. Nothing. I promise you, they've done nothing. They look at things. They say they do things. They have online courses, stuff like that, maybe a workshop here and there, but they do nothing. They never act. They're not acting. They're not actually doing something to prevent it. We can't do enough. They're going to follow members for 5 years. Cadets. What does that mean? You're going to follow a cadet for 5 years? A cadet is only a cadet for 6 months. The things she says, it's hard to even understand what she's talking about. Triggers. I'm going to calm down. She wants to see what triggers PTSD, what triggers. She doesn't know what triggers PTSD. Do you believe that? They need a 5-year study to figure out what triggers PTSD. Just ask people what triggers PTSD if you really don't know. Sight, smell, sound, thought of a traumatic experience. Those are some triggers. Lucky. Did you not know that? Maybe a sunny day. Maybe a blue sky, because that was the day that you seen something bad happen. Maybe a gravel road, because something bad happened on a gravel road. I don't like going up a certain street in this town, because on a certain street, a father used to live there with his son that he shook to death. And I don't like going up there, and that's a trigger. The street's a trigger. She doesn't understand triggers. They want to figure out what causes triggers and prevents it. Okay. Being a bit of an ass again, maybe. Maybe she didn't mean that. I'm assuming she didn't mean to use the word trigger. Okay. She meant to use the word causes. I'm assuming she meant to use the word causes. What causes PTSD? Let's assume she meant that. She doesn't know what causes PTSD. And they need to do a 5-year first of its kind, 5-year longitude study. Like, she's proud of this. What does this tell me? What does that tell you? It tells me they're going to sit their fat asses down, do nothing for the next 5 years, and just watch this cadets being followed. They're not going to do anything. You watch. You watch. And every time she's asked, she's going to talk about this study. The study is just about complete. We're in the 4th year, 5th year. When's this going to start? Probably a couple of years. 10, 15 years down the road, they're going to have some valuable information. No, they're not. They're not going to get anything out of this study. Because you can't study somebody for 5 years. It's got to be 10. 5 years, you don't even know you have PTSD. They're going to find nothing. PTSD doesn't kick in like that. For most. It takes years. If you want to know how to prevent, you should use that word, PTSD, It's pretty fucking easy. It's pretty easy. If you want to know, you just ask cops that have it. Okay. They'll tell you PTSD is caused from seeing traumatic events. How do you reduce PTSD? You reduce the trauma. You reduce the events. It doesn't take brain surgery to figure this out. Reduce trauma equals reduction in PTSD. How do you reduce trauma? Pretty easy. Lucky. It's pretty simple. Okay? Pretty simple. You want to prevent PTSD? Why not just ask members? Ask them. Ask them, what do you think we should do? Well, like, why do you have PTSD? Well, I've seen a lot of events. I've seen a lot of shit when I was a cop. Lessen the events that cops see, and you lessen PTSD. It's amazing that I sit here and I watch this and I know the answers. The answers are so obvious. How can she play so stupid? How can you play so stupid? Reduce the amount of events police officers see, bad events, traumatic events, and you reduce PTSD. But they won't do that. They could do that right now. They could do that starting tomorrow and they won't do it. They didn't do it when I was a cop. I'm telling you right now that they are doing nothing about PTSD. They are not acting. They're not doing anything. Let's talk about myself for a second, okay? Well, I'm going to open this. Have a drink. I'm worked up again. I don't know why I got a pink can. Triggers me. That's a trigger. Lucky. Pink. Take a sip. This is how you prevent PTSD in the RCMP. All police. Where do I start? I guess I start from the beginning. I'll try to make it snappy. You become a cop. You're at training, okay? You see some shitty things at training. I've seen videos at training that I cannot get out of my head to this day. At the time, I didn't give a shit. It was not a big deal. That's where it starts. So she is kind of right. We're going to follow somebody at cadet training. Fine, do that. 5 years means nothing. You got to do it for 10. Anyways, so you become a cop. On day one, I was a cop. I got my badge. First day, my first shift, we get a call of man dead, and we show up. I remember getting the call in the car. I'm like, what? I'm going to see a dead body? I didn't know that. That's how stupid I was. That's how young and goofy I was. I didn't know I was going to see dead bodies. I didn't know that if somebody dies in a house, police officers have to go to that call. They have to go to it. We've seen over 500 dead bodies. I didn't know that was going to happen. So I go to the call. He had a criminal record, so we had to break his fingers in order to get a fingerprint off of him. I had to do that. And not a big deal. I was fine. I was young. I was new. I was fine. 2-3 years down the road, we go to a call, and it's 3 or 4 teenagers in a car, impaired. It's Christmas Eve, and they end up dying. And we show up, and their bodies are burned, and some are on the pavement. We're trying to save them, but they're so messed up, and we have to go tell the parents that their kids died. But I'm thinking, this is not bothering me. It doesn't bother me. It might bother me for a little bit, but it's not bothering me. Later that night, there was a cop that he had about 6 or 7 years. And we were outside of the detachment. I smoked. He doesn't smoke. He's like an athlete. Doesn't smoke. He asked me for a cigarette. And he starts talking to me about, the events. And he wants somebody to talk to. He wants to talk to me about it. And I'm thinking, suck it up, man. Like, this is what we do. We're cops, okay? Like, you got a problem with this? Because I had no problem with it. No problem with it. Ten years later, you got a problem with it. And you don't even know. It just creeps up on you. You know, then I hit around year 7 and starting to do weird shit. You start doing weird shit. You don't even know. You don't even know. But all those traumatic events, which is 50, maybe 100, maybe 200, you start thinking about them. And you start acting different. You start doing different shit. And you start getting angry. Drink a little. Helps. Here's the problem with the RCMP and PTSD. And I know I'm all over the place, but just listen. And subscribe, because I'm talking to myself. Nobody is subscribing. So this is what happens. You become a cop, and you're in general duty. General duty is, if you don't know, you wear a uniform, you drive a car. When people call the police, you're the one that attends, okay? General duty. That's what I did. I did general duty. 4 months I did recruiting. And by the way, that 4 months was probably the best part of my career, because it was a boring job, but it was so relaxing to not be attached to a radio and not have to go to serious shit. Like, it relaxed my mind. It made my mind feel good. When I got promoted and I had to go to mission, I wasn't too happy about it, to tell you the truth, but because I had to go back into GD. So members, they become cops, they're in GD. There's thousands of sections in the RCMP. Okay, there's plainclothes unit, there's community policing. I could go on and on. There's like nice, easy sections that would help relax your mind. But you can't go into those sections unless you write a good resume. Here's my example. I'm working on a watch. I'm a corporal on the watch. I'm a watch commander. 16 years in, I have 3 constables on the watch. They want to go to the plainclothes unit. They want to be a plainclothes officer, street crimes unit. One member has like 11 years. One member has 3 years. One member has 2 years. But the only way to get there is if you write a really good resume. Member with 11 years finishes resume in 1 day. The member with 3 and 2, they take about a week to work on the resume. They give me the resume. I help them out with the resume. I tell them what they could do better, what they should add. Member with 11 years doesn't get the job. Member with 3 years gets the job. Member with 2 years came in second place in getting the job. Who gets punished? The guy that can't write a good resume. He's still a cop. He's still in general duty. This was a long time ago. He'll probably always be in general duty. What's the problem? Who gives a rat fuck? Who can write a good resume? When you hit year 3 of being in general duty and experiencing all those traumatic events, somebody needs to tap you on the shoulder, whether you're good, whether you're bad, whether you're a shitty officer or a good officer. Somebody taps you on the back and says, time to leave general duty. You're going in this section. You're going in community policing. You're going to the school liaison job. You're going to do something a little bit easier. You're going to rest your mind. That's how you fix it. But we're going to do a 5-year study, and it's a longitude first of its kind, and we're so proud of this, and we're just going to sit all our fat fucking asses down and just watch and not do anything. Mark my words. They haven't done anything for anybody that suffers from PTSD, and they never will. If they do, it's 15 years, 20 years down the road. And all they got to do is talk to ex-members or talk with anybody that has PTSD. You want to prevent PTSD? Well, you can't. You can't prevent it. That's impossible. But you could help reduce it. You reduce it by reducing the traumatic events. Dummies. She knows this. She knows it. She has to know that. Everybody knows it. Take the member off their watch, whether they're good or bad. That member that at 11 years, it's almost like he's punished because he can't write a good resume. It didn't matter that he took the most calls on the watch. That didn't matter. It just mattered if he could write a good resume. You think he'll get PTSD one day? He's already got it. He told me so. 2 ways to get rid of PTSD. Quit the job or reduce the amount of traumatic events that you're going to see or attend or even hear about. Anyways, I don't mean to come across so irate, but this is how I've been talking lately. And I don't know. I'm triggered. This is triggering. It was actually triggering. 5-year longitudinal study. That's how we're going to do it. It's first of its kind committee. Look what we're doing. We're doing fuck all. We're going to watch a cadet. We're going to watch a cadet. 5. You don't even know. You don't even know. When you're 5 years in, you don't know you have PTSD. There's not even, in a lot of cases, there's not even a symptom yet. It kicks in later on when your mind is full. When your glass is full, your mind is full. It kicks in. You can't, it's full. It's so full, then you explode. But in most cases, that doesn't happen at 5 years. It happens after 5 years. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I've seen. That's what I've noticed. Anyways, why am I looking up? Bye-bye.